So I think I can now start putting the side panels in. Have you ever had that problem? Your glue is all stuck all the time and all of a sudden it just starts oozing. One of those things, but never mind. So I will start from the back and I will take one of these panels. So that's 12 inches by 4, and I will place this here at the top. I'm trying to get this as even as possible. I want to start in the middle so that where I end up on the side, that this is sort of even on either side. So I could even actually, no, not I could, I will actually mark the 6 inches so that I know this needs to go at the top of my rucksack there. So I want to actually turn it over so it's easier to see. Let me get that out of the way whilst that is drying. So I know some Callcut sometimes uses adhesive tape. What I don't like about the tape is where you've got the teeth here. In between, the glue would be exposed and then the top is sticky. I could turn around and say, well, it doesn't really matter because the recipient won't get to the top of that bag, but I don't like the thought of that. So I will actually use the quick grab glue around, definitely around here, the curb. I might change my mind around the other side, but no, once I've glued this in, it will be tricky to put some adhesive tape on. So yeah, no, I'll just do it with the glue. So I need to put the glue on all of these. Let me just raise that a little bit on all of these little teeth. If you're comfortable with working with hot glue quickly, you could do that as well. I'm trying to definitely put enough glue towards the outer edge of the teeth because I want this to grab. Try not to get any on the ribbon. So you could work with the collal because that dries more slowly, but then you'll have to keep it in place for a bit longer. I will actually put a little bit on there as well because I think it overlaps. I do apologise should I go off camera anywhere. So I'm trying to tag the ribbon, is that the word I'm looking for, underneath. So I'm finding my 6-inch mark, pop that here in the middle, and then place this around, starting here at the top and pressing these tabs against the cardstock here. And it's called quick grab because it does grab it really quickly. So I'm doing the same on this side. I'm also making sure I'm placing it down on the desk so that, let me just get that out of the way, so that it will sit properly against those tabs. And I think I've dropped that on the floor. Yeah, I can't get to it. I thought I'd put a bit of tape on the side there. Nope, no chance, because it fell behind my craft table earlier. So the more pressure you apply, the better it adheres. And I'm doing this in real time so you can see how quickly that goes. So I think I'm fine there. What I could have done earlier, I didn't think about that, is use my pencil and just put a little bit of a curve in, but because we don't have too much of a curve, I think we get away with it here. Just need to check that this is okay. Yep. So I will leave this to dry now before I put the side panels in, and I'll show you how we do that because we might have to put a little score line here at the bottom. So I did retrieve my clear tape and I put a tape on either side just to hold this in place because there was quite a bit of tension on the end. So now I can put my panels, the other two panels on. I'm well aware that the pattern is not continuous. If you're bothered about that, you have to cut it differently. I'm okay with it. I think the only thing I want to make sure is it doesn't face the other way, so the direction of the stripes is the same. So I want mine to overlap just about, I'd say, a 1/4 inch, sort of roughly. So I'm measuring mine here, let this overlap, and then I need to zoom out. Nope, can't zoom out. It's difficult with a large project like that. So let me sit it down like this. So I'm overlapping a little bit on the top. It might be a little bit more than a 1/4 inch. So I'm marking at the bottom here where my panel ends. And this is where I will put a score line. And I do that on the other side accordingly, because this is where I will bend it around at the bottom. And I quickly do this off camera. My score line was at 3 1/4, but yours might be slightly different. And as I said before, I made sure which panel goes on which side according to the pattern. So this is the one for the left hand side, this is the one for the right hand side. And I folded this now, and I will glue this now onto this edge. So I will put glue along here, and I will put, I think I will rather put the glue on this panel because I know where this ends. If I put it just on here, this panel here might end a bit higher, and then it's not stuck down properly. Again, you could use some tape, but I think I prefer the flexibility of the Cosmic Shimmer glue. And I quickly do this off camera again. So the sides have almost dried. Little tip again, I think I said it before, make sure when you've got it in place that you put a lot of pressure on there so that it does adhere properly. Same here on the top. I'm not quite happy though with the finish here. First of all, I had a bit of glue oozing out, and I don't like the way that when it sits up you're actually looking from the top. And I've thought about putting a strip of cardstock there that I thought might look a bit awkward. I thought about washi tape, but washi tape sometimes comes off. But then I remembered I've got double-sided adhesive sheets, and they're like, sorry, not double-sided, glitter adhesive sheets. So I just cut 2 strips. They're 4 inches wide, and I just eyeballed that. They're 3/4 in width. I thought about having a bit thinner, but I will actually put these across there, and then that will give a nice finish to that. The other thing I realized when I had this, I need some more stability here. This one layer of cardstock is not enough. So I have cut from the A4 sheet that I tried to use earlier for the circles. I have cut strips that are 3 1/4 wide. Let me just check that. Sorry, 3 1/2. Reason being is I want to cover the camera's gone out of focus. I want to cover here the tabs on the side because this is what you will be able to see. But I do not want to interfere with the tabs that have to go at the top here, because I don't want to have an extra layer for the tabs, because I'm sure then this will show. So that's why I have cut them like this. And this time, because I will go from the straight into the curve, I will definitely put a little bit of a curve here in the top. So I'm just using my pencil, and I'm just applying this just to get a little bit of a curve, because this time I will start at the bottom and fold this round here at the top, and then I will have to measure what piece is missing here and then fill that in. So I will do, because these are just A4 sheets, so they're 11 and I think it's 5/8 long. So I will glue these down, and as before I will use the Collall glue because that gives stability. And I will switch off the camera to keep this video as short as I can. I've got this idea, it's already 50 minutes long, never mind. And yeah, and I will leave that to dry, leave that to sit, and then I will work out the bottom that we still need to create here. and obviously the front with the opening. I'm a bit undecided which way round I want to do this, whether I want to glue this flap on first, because I think I need to get to the back and then glue this onto the other piece. The advantage of having this off would be I could more easily get into the area, but then again I've still got the bottom open, so I think I will just glue this down now. All the other bits, the embellishments on the front, I will definitely do afterwards. So I'm placing this way around, making sure it's facing upwards, the flap, and then I can lift this up, and all I need to do is this last, let me just zoom in, this last panel here, that needs to go on here and go behind that flap. So I think that's all I'll need to do, and the same on the other side. So I will actually cut a wedge that is straight here and has got this shape here. Let me just quickly do this off camera. So I have cut two pieces that are 4 inches by 2 inches, I think. No, 1.5 inches. Reason being is this is 4 inches high, and this maximum width from there to there is 1.5 inches. So, and what I'm just doing is now, let's just do some measuring. I'm laying this down and I'm just measuring here the edge. I can feel it, I can even press it down, just the edge here of that piece. And this is where I basically need to create the tab that I didn't have left over from before. So I think if I just glue that down on there and that down on there, I might have to, oh yeah, I have to round it a little bit at the top here, because obviously we've got a curve there, sorry. Doesn't have to be perfect. So I think that should do it, because this will actually, the front will not sit flat with this piece. It's this piece that will sit flat with it. So I hope I'm doing this correctly in my head. So I will actually stick this down here first, make sure this is properly adhered, and then this can be adhered to this. And on the other side, I'm doing it the other way around, but all I'm doing for that is just cutting a mirror piece. It doesn't matter because it's same cardstock on both sides, so plain cardstock really. So got the same piece here as well. So I will again do this off camera to keep this video as short as possible, and then I'll show you how we adhere this to the main bit. I have cut the top off a little bit here just to get this a little bit neater, and I think now the easier way will be to put the glue on here and put it this way around, and then basically gluing this down here so that this cardstock disappears and all that is exposed is this one here, and then it should be right if I'm not mistaken, because this will sit like this. You can test it a little bit, and you have got a little bit of wiggle room, I think. So, and again, as always, I'm using the quick grab glue. Try not to get too much glue on there, because you don't want this to catch on the actual folds. If this is all too complicated for you, you don't need to create the bag on the front. So, and I did actually think about creating, so I'm just placing this up behind here. I'm creating pockets on the side. So this just wanted to move. Slid all underneath. That's a problem with a quick grab glue. It does grab quickly, and it's because I pushed it in. So take your time. Could even have come up a little bit rather than having it so close to the bottom. Just testing it. Yeah, I need to move it up just a little bit. You've got a tiny bit of wiggle room whilst it's drying, so I'm making sure I'm at the top here, and then and I think I've got it in place. Press it down, and I'm leaving this to dry before I put the other side in, because I think if I try to do it at the same time, it'll just interfere and shift again. And you always need to leave it a few minutes to dry, just so it won't move. As I said before, I'll do this off camera, and yeah, I think then this can be attached to the main bit. And as before, I will put glue here, put glue all around, and I'm trying to get my hand in from the bottom with my bone folder and put some pressure on it. I will lay the rucksack on the side for that as well, to get most pressure on there. And yeah, and then I'll show you how I create the front flap. I'm just popping in to show you how I want to glue this on. I realise this is quite top heavy, the main bit here, and obviously if you lay it down, actually it's difficult to put this in place without it falling into this as well. So I will actually put the glue on the edge all the way around here. I folded all my tabs in so that when I slide it into place, and I've got this upside down here leaning against my lamp, so when I'm placing this down and placing it in place, it's difficult to show you now. Once I have it in place, I will push the tabs down so that they can grab onto the glue. I'm a bit on the fence yet whether I would actually want to start with a bit of red tape here, just to have the main bit in place. But as I said before, the problem with red tape is once you've got it, you can't shift anything. So I'll decide that when I've got a moment off camera. So here's the truth. I did curse. I'm glad I did it off camera. It was a bit of pain in the bum because I actually aligned it at the bottom first, and then I realized I was not in place at the top, so I managed to push it in. So as before, and I probably said it as well, try to get it in at the top at first and then glue it down. And also because I used quite a generous amount of glue and it was oozing out again, glue weakens the cardstock, which makes it a bit more pliable, and it's nice for it to be pushed, but it also the cardstock suffered a little bit, so I left this to dry thoroughly now. So all we need to do now is to put in the bottom and the flap. For the bottom, let me just lift my camera if I can a little bit more, because we already have got the flaps here. We only need to create flaps for the front and the back. So I have cut a piece of heavyweight cardstock. This is the 300 GSM at 5 inches by 8 1/4. So 8 1/4 is the width here, and the 5 inches come from the 4-inch panel plus 1/2 inch on either side. Is it 1/2 inch? Yeah. So I created flaps on either side. I scored this at 1/2 inch, turn it around, turn it at scored it at 1/2 inch, and then cut some little wedges there. So this can be placed on the inside. So this is now where it's getting horrendously fiddly. So I will have to set this up like this probably. I have got a little bit of excess through the flap here, and I will make use of that. So this has to be stuck down, and I do apologize for not being able to show that properly. So this has to be stuck down on the front, on the back, and then these sides will just fold round to keep that in place. And then for the bottom, just to cover everything, I've cut a piece of this pink cardstock, and this is 8 by 4 inches, so just to sit at the bottom and cover all of this. So I will again do this off camera. I'm just contemplating whether I might even have to create 2 parts of this video, because I feel like I've been crafting for 4 hours now. So this video will definitely be an hour long at least. My camera actually stopped recording whilst I was explaining something, but the good thing is when I came back to this now to glue it in, I noticed something else. I said to create a flap in the front and the back, but obviously we've got the flap here at the front, so if I glued it in, it would either sit like this or we would glue this shut, which we don't want to. So I'm just quickly measuring, spreading this out properly here, maybe even push it in at the top here. So, and I need to measure where this front flap is, which looks a bit weird now. I'm thinking whether this piece is too small now. But anyway, I'm at this point now where I'm just eyeballing this. I might have to measure that, make it even on either side. So I will have to cut this in, cut a little wedge out really, like after I've done the measuring properly, and then we'll stick one part to this and one part to the bottom here so that it folds up on that angle. And I have to score this properly as well, make sure it folds in both directions so that it opens nicely. So, and for the front flap, I'm trying to do this quickly to because I don't have much storage space on the phone now. I have cut this piece here. This is 7 inches by, let me just check that again, 3 3/4. I just wanted this to be wide enough. Let me just get this one. Wide enough to cover this bit here, and I wanted this to sit here on above the pouch. So I've scored this at 1/2 and 3/4. The half because I wanted this to have space for my red tape, and the 1/4 here for it to basically allow for the thickness of this pouch. After I've decorated this, I will stick this down just above the opening there. I have on the inside, I've put a magnet here that came from an old little pad I had. So I've just stuck it down with red tape here, and then I've placed the other one on the top also with red tape on this side. So when it's all in place, I can press it down and hopefully the magnet will adhere on this side where it needs to be. So I think I've explained everything. I will have another thought whether I want pockets on the side. I think I might do that. I might even do something in a separate video. I'll have a think, but for now I'll keep it short. Just one more trick. I know the lighting isn't too good. I've put red tape here on this flap and I'm aligning it here, just on the edge there, getting as close as I can, and when it's in place I'm just folding the flap down so that I know this sits in the right place. Obviously can't do it with this side, so I will use some liquid glue on this side, but you can see here again how I've cut into this piece. When I finished filming last night and called it a day on this project, I realised a little bit later that I hadn't really allowed for any space for a zipper on top of this rucksack, and I hadn't really decided yet how I would like to create it. I had a look through my stash whether I've got dies for that gives a sort of image. I thought about using something like these scissors here. I thought if I cut 2 bits and sort of interlace them a little bit, but then I thought I want to keep it simple really. It's about it sort of representing a zipper rather than looking at exactly like one, and I decided to just use a strip of cardstock. I left this deliberately wider than I actually need this. At the moment this is 1.5 inches and this is 11.5 wide. Reason being is when I score on this, if I had it slimmer, you know, where you start scoring, you never have the same pressure because you always end up knocking this here. So I thought I have it a little bit wider and I will finish the scoring and then I will cut it down. So, and what I've done here is I have marked on the back, I've actually scored this from the back, I've marked a line here in the middle, well, sort of the middle, it doesn't really matter because as I said I will cut it down. And then I have scored at every other groove just over the line here. And then I turned it over, and this is why I cut it down to 11.5 and didn't leave it the original 11 and is it 5/8? I'm not quite sure. I then started doing it, well, I could have started here actually, but I started on this end, doing the in-between grooves, but from the other side. Can you see that? And I think when I turn it over, and by the time I've cut it down, it sort of gives a sort of an idea of a zipper, let's put it that way. And I've chosen this pearlescent cardstock. I thought it's a nice mix. I didn't want to introduce any silver or gold, you know, for hardware. What I will, well, if I say I didn't want to introduce it, I didn't want to have a big strip of that. But I have picked a few dies that I think I will cut some silver out with. One is a sort of a little, like a little banner die. Can't remember what this is from. I've got a little square here, a stitched square, and I've got a stitched diamond. I'll have a little play with these afterwards. I need one little piece as the end of the zipper and one on the top that basically holds the mechanism. So I thought maybe the diamond shaped one and then this one just as the pull thing. As I said, it's just to sort of hint at it being like that. So, and once I've finished this, this will be glued down here across the top, and it will just fit in between those two adhesive strips. So I'll just put it on the middle here across, and I think I will actually use some adhesive tape to stick that down. And the pattern makes it really easy for me to see where I'm putting it down as well. I might start in the middle and then stick it down there. I'll have a think. If I have it a little bit longer than I need it, because I think I only need about 11 inches, I can actually cut it down when I get to the point here, and I will just cut it down with my scissors. All that's left to do after that is the embellishments. And I can't remember whether I said it yesterday. I know I just processed the first, or edited the first part of that video. I decided against putting little pictures down here. I will put the birthday girl's name on here with this adhesive, the adhesive glittered sheets with my letter dies. I'm not quite sure yet how I'm going to arrange it. I will have a 30 on there for her birthday. But yeah, then this is actually, no, it's not finished because I still need to create the side pockets, which I will do. So I'll finish the zipper, I'll show you that finished, and then I'll show you how we create the side pockets. If you ever have the problem that you miss the groove and you use the wrong one, put it back on the negative side, which is now the up side. Use your bone folder and press it down. And yes, it's not completely invisible, but almost. And by the time I've cut it down, it doesn't really matter. Just quickly popping in, I found it actually easier to use one of these tools here rather than the bone folder. It was much easier to control it. As usual, I'm just popping in to show a few more tricks and tips. For the zipper bit that I have already glued down here with red tape, I have cut this square here, and then to get half a square, or like a rather like a rectangle with the same stitched design, I just moved it over on the die cut onto this side, and then I ended up with these two rectangles, one with a stitching, one without. And then I wanted to show you this piece here. Got red tape sticking everywhere. This here, don't know if the camera picks it up. I wanted this to look like a proper zipper bit, and I didn't want to have to die cut a little hole into the top, but I used my tool here just to press it down there and make it look like it's got a hole there. I think these little things will make a difference in how your rucksack looks. So before I forget to mention that the silver bits I used for the zipper, this is just some thin non-shed glitter paper, and I just glued this down on some heavier cardstock with my double-sided adhesive tape here. For the zipper bit itself, I did it on both sides. For the rectangle and the diamond shape, I just did it one-sided. And the diamond shape, I'll just show you this. I ended up gluing that down with hot glue, same with the zipper piece. And on the other side, as I said, I used some double-sided adhesive. Either would have been fine, but I wasn't quite sure how to cut the red tape for that, so I just glued it down like this. And I think it looks okay. I like the look of the zipper on the top. And another thing I haven't shown you yet, because I did that off camera, but I'm sure I mentioned it in the, what I recorded yesterday. This is just the base here of the rucksack. So all that's left to do now is the side pockets. I want this pattern of the side pockets to face this way. The stripes that come down, I go this way, but I want these to look different. And I will also put a lining in, but I'll show you that in a moment. So, and I've just taken the other sheet that I didn't use for the longer strips, and I have cut a panel here at 6 inches, and then I cut this in half again, so I've got 2 panels that are 6 by 6 inches, and I want to make sure these are even on either side, so I'm keeping them the same way up. So the panel itself is 4 inches wide, so I want my pocket to be 4 inches wide, so I'm starting with scoring at 5 inches and 1 inch, and that leaves me with a 4-inch panel here in the middle. So now I would also like to give these pockets a little bit of depth, not a lot. I don't want these to be too deep or too bulky, because I don't want, you know, the rucksack to get any bigger. So I will just score at 5 1/8. So this is the next groove, and then also at 7/8 here, I think, next to the 1 inch score line. So that gives me a tiny bit of dimension. I will show you in a moment how to fold that. So for the height, I would like this to be, I'd say, about 5 inches. Oh, roughly looked at that. So my idea was to create, we also need a little flap at the bottom, so I'm scoring just at a half, and the groove next to it between 1 1/2 and 3/4. I think, is it 5/8? I don't know. So can you see, maybe picks it up better on this back here. So, and then if that is, let me turn it this way around, makes it easier, I think. No, it doesn't make it easier. How do I do that? I want this to be 5 inches now from that, so if that is here, I'd go 5 1/2 and then 1 on. Does it make sense to you? So 5 and I think it's 5/8. I'll check it off camera in a moment. What I want to do with the top here is just to fold it over to have a little bit of a thicker flap. So I'll be doing the same on the other piece, as I said, making sure it's facing the same way, and I quickly check the measurements for you. So I just wanted to show you this. This is my We Are Memory Keeper scoreboard. This has got all the in-between measurements on here, and the Creative Craft box doesn't have that, so I've just used my Sharpie and filled these in. If I should have said any wrong measurements, I'll put them in the video. My brain can't figure this out now. I've even made a mistake here where I was scoring, but I went in from the other side and just flattened it again with my bone folder, and I think I'll get away with that. So I will now fold all these score lines and burnish them, and then I'll show you where we need to cut. Just wanted to show you this quickly. If you need to fold 2 score lines that are so close to each other, it helps to just pinch the paper a little bit. So fold over one, burnish it, and then for the line next to each other, use your fingers and bend the paper a little bit before you use your bone folder. I find that's the best way to do it. Once you've done that, you can flatten it like this. So now we need to cut away all the corners. So on the, we've got the two lines next to each other here and here. So I'm just cutting here on the left hand side, and I'm cutting on the right hand side of this one. So cutting away this rectangle with two score lines here, two score lines there. I hope it shows. I'm doing the same on this side. And I'm doing the same on the top where I've got the single fold line. So I hope you could see what I was doing. Yeah, and I'm doing the same on the other side. I'm not too fussed about the fact that when I glue this up, it's a tiny little bit of an opening. I'm not fussed about that. It's not like we're going to fill anything in particular in the side bags. So I'm starting with folding the top flap down. So that's the one where I've only got a single score line here, because I want to get these out of the way, and that's just for a neat finish on the top. I think my glue needs a moment. I think it's working now. I had the window open earlier because I was working with the collal, and sometimes I find if this glue gets a little bit too cold, it doesn't work that well. So it might be a bit too much already, so I'm going off camera there. So just pressing that down and leave that to dry for a moment. So same here, I can use some of this glue on here rather than getting it on me. So, and then the other thing I want to do is, where if I glued this in here, I could see that daisy pattern in the background, and I don't want that. So I need to cut this at an angle just so it's not that visible. So let me just think. Yeah, I'll probably cut it from the corner here of the first score line down to that purple stripe. Just checking that. Yeah, that'll be fine for me. So I do that on all the pieces. So, and that's all that's left for me to do then, is just looking whether I need to cut a little wedge. Oh yeah, sorry. And at the bottom piece here, I need to cut a little wedge out so that that doesn't stick out. So, there. Try not to confuse myself now. Yeah. Because I could feel the brain fog setting in earlier. Yeah, so that's fine now. Or I could even glue it in like this. So all that's left for me to do now is to put glue on the tab here and on the side here, and just stick this on to the side of the rucksack. Just show you where I want it. And then, as always, I will do this off camera. Let me just lift my camera a little bit so I can show you. So this will just sit here on the side. Can you see? This is where this goes. And then I've got a little bit of space to put something in, maybe even a card, or I was thinking maybe a bookmark or something like that. When you set the piece down, I'd used, by the way, use the Cosmic Shimmer glue again. Use your ruler to go into this pouch because it's really, really thin, just to apply the pressure all to the edge. Should actually turn it around to have the corner as well, and just press it down like this. Could even go into the front pocket and press it down there, but I think once I've done this, it'll be okay. So I'm happy with that. So I'm just recording a quick outro to show you the finished rucksack. So I've put the birthday girl's name on here with the adhesive glitter cardstock. I put the stars on here. Show you from this side with the finished zipper there and the side pocket. This side here and the back with straps. And then the pocket again opens here and folds out there to put our gift into. Yeah, I'm really pleased with this. I think this is so pretty, and I'm sure the birthday girl will really appreciate that as a gift to keep.